Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to present to you Mr. Dan Clemens. Dan, thank you so much for joining the Respect and Pray show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Mike. Thanks for having me. This is great.
For sure, for sure. So I gotta start. I mean, you've been the president of Quiet Path Communications for over 25 years. How did the whole journey started with Quiet Path Communications? And I also noticed that you went to school and you took a lot of communications, public speaking courses, and you probably even majored there as well. So, what was the motivation behind all of that?
Yeah, so I was a communications major, speech communications major in college at Colorado State, go Rams. And we studied a lot of different things. And what I kind of gravitated to was employee communication, internal communication within an organization. So helping organizations communicate more effectively between employees, between departments, between leaders, staff, kind of all around an organization. And uh, got got quite a bit of good experience in the corporate world doing that. And it was about 25 years ago. Gosh, I had the opportunity. My organization was going through a merger acquisition, and I had the opportunity to stay or leave. And I decided to take off and do this consulting, do quite a bit of writing on my own because I had hired quite a few consultants and freelance writers, and kind of knew what it takes to kind of manage them, and kind of knew what the expectations were on that side. So I figured I could leverage that as a consultant and a freelance writer. And it's been a great 25 years. I've really enjoyed that. I enjoy the learning part of it, of learning a new organization. Anytime you step into a new organization, it's, oh my gosh, there's so much to learn. What do they do? Who are the people? How does everything, how do they serve their customers? And so, learning that and then being able to write about that and help them communicate that it's a lot of fun. And so it's been kind of ups and downs, as any business. But I feel really fortunate that I've been able to do that for 25 years and make a living doing it.
Yeah, that's great. And you've been the president for this organization. Usually, when it comes to mergers, there's always like 50-50 people are about it because they don't know if the company is going to go here or is going to go downhill.
Right.
So even to this day, Dan, when you hear, even on news, when you hear about companies merging together, do you get that sense of that feeling in your stomach like, ooh, or do you go like, let's see how this will work out?
You know, it's interesting. I think you have to kind of scratch beneath the surface of the press releases, and because those are always going to talk about what they think the positive things are for share owners and for customers and the market. But kind of digging beneath that of how many employees does each organization have, and what type of overlap is there between them? You have some mergers or acquisitions where, boy, they do completely different things, and it really is going to be kind of a neat merger of their two capabilities. Other times it's, boy, there's a lot of overlap, and then you can kind of see, yeah, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be looking for a job just because there's so much duplication. So, but I think everybody's first reaction is, if they're an employee in one of those organizations, is, ooh, yikes, what does this mean for me? And I think that's our opportunity as communicators and leaders, is to help them understand that as quickly as possible, so they can make their decision of, boy, this isn't going to be right for me, and I need to go find something else, or I'm really excited about this and I can see my path, and I want to contribute. I want to remain engaged, or even get more engaged in what this new organization is going to do and can do.
Let's go into the writing part now. It seems that you really enjoy writing, and that's something that you and I were similar because I love writing. And talk to me about the dude is legit. So you won you say you're an award-winning screenwriter based on what I saw on LinkedIn.
Yep.
So that again, that's another thing that we have in common because I write scripts, I write short films, and that's something we could talk more after this. But
Yeah.
talk to me about the dude is legit. How did that come about? And yeah, just go right into it.
Okay, so the short version is I'm a baseball junkie. I love baseball. I still play in old man leagues. When I was in college up at Colorado State, I was up there on scholarship. It was a D1 program at that time, and I tore up my shoulder about the first thing that I did. And so lost the scholarship, kind of ended the dream. But I still played in the old man leagues. And a few years ago, actually in 2019, I got a call from a buddy of mine, a former old man teammate, and he had gotten a job managing a team in a professional independent league. So still professional baseball, just not affiliated with a major league club. And he said, Dan, we've got kind of a weird thing going on here. Would you like to come out, fly out to Bakersfield, California, and pitch and make your pro debut? And I thought, I'm getting punked. I'm 51 years old. How can that happen? But he assured me that no, I was not getting punked and my buddies were not on the line laughing. And so I flew out to Bakersfield and joined this team of 22, 23-year-old studs that had a lot of them had already pro experience, a lot of really good college experience. And so they were making up a rain out. They had 6 games in 5 days. And so most of the guys in that league threw in the upper 80s and low 90s with their fastballs, and I brought my 75-mile-an-hour fastball to the game. So there were a lot of skeptics, both on my team and a lot of verbal skeptics on the other team of who is this old man? Did they find him at the nursing home? I was getting all sorts of wisecracks about that, but I ended up I ended up taking a shutout into the fifth inning, and the fun part of it was that in the first game of the doubleheader, there was a player on the other team. He had a towering home run to left field over the trees, and as I watched him around the bases, he had long reddish blonde hair, and I said, "My gosh, you he looks like a Norse god. You swing a hammer like that." So I kind of nicknamed him Thor. And then one of my teammates said, "That's great. You're going to get to pitch to him in the next game." Well, when he came up in the first inning, I actually struck him out with a big breaking curveball and got out of the first inning. He came up again in the third inning, and I struck him out. Then he was looking for the curveball. I threw him a fastball, and so that ended the inning. And as I got to the dugout, my one of the biggest skeptics on our team yelled to our dugout, "The dude is legit." And so I figure, if a 22-year-old is calling me legit, then I'm legit. So I've told that story a number of times, and people are like, "Boy, that'd be a great book. That would be a great movie." And so COVID happened, and I started playing around with it. Had a little bit of extra time, and started writing scenes because it's just kind of the way it happened in my head. And it's evolved into a screenplay that I think is it's a comedy, but there's some really good drama behind it, some really good messages around aging and following your dreams and second chances. We've mixed a little bit of supernatural with the baseball gods kind of helping out a little bit in there. And so the screenplay has won 4 awards at spring screenplay competitions for best feature script, and so feel really fortunate been able to do that. My writing partner, my sister, has helped out quite a bit with it. So really pleased with where we're at. We're in the process of we're very close, I think, to getting a production partner on board, and so hopefully we can get this movie made. But I guess maybe to answer your question, really a lengthy process, as you know, of writing a screenplay. So many drafts, so many, and trying to get good feedback, trying to get any feedback sometimes. Not always easy. You ask friends to read something, and they're kind enough to do it, but they're also sometimes afraid to step on your toes, or I don't want to offend them. So getting really good feedback can be tough sometimes, but I think that is so critical to any writer is finding that group of kind of your peers, your colleagues, or people that you know will just be straight with you about where you're at, because at that point, then you can move forward.
I totally understand where you're coming from as a person that has written so many shorts. it's very challenging to find people that can really be full blown honest with you. I personally I don't like yes people. I want people to be a straight shooter. I was fortunate that I've was able throughout my years of experience sending my script to people that I know that they're gonna analyze the script, that they're gonna tell me, fix this, fix that. Your grammar isn't, that they go into detail. So I'm fortunate in that regard. I was gonna ask you if this movie um was it made or is it on YouTube or but you already mentioned that you're trying to get it made.
Mhm.
So hopefully when it's all said and done, I get to see it online or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely.
But do you guys have an idea of what you guys want to do with the film? Like because I know for sure because we got to keep it very positive. You guys are gonna get it made. So when it gets made and it's completed, are you guys gonna aim for festivals first and then put it online, such as YouTube or Amazon? Or you guys are gonna go just straight online?
It's a great question, and I don't have a great answer for you yet. I think it kind of depends on who the production partner is. We have actually two studios that maybe have expressed at least a kind of an initial interest in it. And so if a large studio is involved, they're going to kind of handle that distribution and from there. If we go more of an independent route, then it may need to go kind of the festival route. Um, it kind of depends. The One of the producers I'm working with, she's she's convinced that it really does need to have a theatrical release, and I like that idea. I do think it's going to be a very family friendly. It's a PG-13. It's something that after you pick up the kids at practice, hey, let's go grab dinner and let's go to the movie and let's watch this. I think it's going to be one of those that it's good for the whole family, but I think adults are going to get, I think especially as folks kind of hit middle age, really identify with the central character of, my dreams, it seems like my dreams were past so long ago. Can I still do anything with them? And my answer is absolutely. And you don't have to play professional baseball. You don't have to be in the Olympics. You don't have to, write a best-selling novel. But I think we all have that something inside us that is a passion. It's something that we're good at, could be great at, but we never got the chance to develop. And my message is, it's never too late to try that. And the real benefit, the real learning, the real growth, the real value in all that is in the trying, not in the end outcome that you actually achieve. Because I think one of the things about my experience in playing pro ball, it would have been fantastic if I had gotten the win that day. And at that point, I would have been the oldest pitcher in league history to get a win. I ended up not getting the win that day. That I got pulled out of the game, and the game kind of fell apart after that. The team ended up winning, but I didn't personally get the win. And people have said, "Oh, that would have made, such a great storybook ending." And my answer is, I got my answer. That since I was 18 years old and had my shoulder operated on three times, kind of in the back of my head was, well, was I good enough to play pro ball? And I never really could answer that. I'd like to believe that, but I had no evidence. And so for 35 years, that's kind of haunted me. And that experience gave me my answer. And so if you look at it objectively of, well, yeah, you got to play, but you didn't get the win, you did doesn't matter. I got the answer that I personally needed. And as I kind of point out in the movie, I've kind of become legit in my own heart and mind, which is the most important thing, rather than necessarily my teammates thinking I'm legit.
And that's very important that you bring that up because a lot of people have their own definitions of what success is. But
Hmm.
me personally, I believe that success is doing what you set out to accomplish that's on your list. Like you don't have to make it to the pinnacle to be successful. You don't have to have this amount of money to be successful. No, I feel that success is even your story is a success. If you know, if we're gonna be honest here, the fact that you at least got to playing, I mean, that's a
Yeah.
success itself. So, and that's the way I feel like I wish more people could view it that way. And that also has to do with high self-esteem. A person
Hmm.
with a very high self-esteem would say, no, like I'm playing independent and it's a sport that I love to do.
Yep.
That's a success to me. The fact that, I'm writing a script and I don't have to move to California to get this movie premiere, like, and I'm doing it, let's say, for example, Florida or Georgia or West Virginia. That's a success. As long as you get to write something that you're passionate about, that you get to do anything that you're passionate about, that's a success. But I had to ask you this. If it wasn't for that shoulder injury, let's say you do, you get drafted, what would be that one team that you wish you would have played for in the major leagues in a perfect world? Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think at the time it would have been either the Kansas City Royals or the Boston Red Sox. I grew up in Denver and we didn't have Major League Baseball at that point. And so the closest team was Kansas City, and I had relatives in Kansas City and saw my first Major League game at Kauffman Stadium. It was Royal Stadium at the time. So I was a big Royals fan. George Brett Saberhagen, all of those guys. Um, by the time I was leaving high school in 1986, that was a big year for the Red Sox and Roger Clemens. And yes, same last name, not related. But I was a huge Roger Clemens fan, still am, and so yeah, the Royals or Red Sox. But I'll tell you what, when you're 18 years old, it wouldn't have mattered which team was knocking at the door. I would have been really excited. I was kind of a project player at that time, though, that I was 6'4" and 160 pounds soaking wet, and I could not gain weight. I lifted weights, I ate everything in front of me. I couldn't gain any weight. And so I think the pro scout, there were a few pro scouts kind of sniffing around some of my games, and I think the thought was, yeah, maybe in a few years, let's let him have some good D1 experience, play for 3 years, get 25 pounds of muscle on him, and see what happens. And I was throwing in the upper 80s at that point, and who knows, I might have gotten a shot had I not been injured. But I had that. I at least had part of a dream that a lot of kids have a lot of tons of kids have that dream of getting to play college ball. And I did accomplish that. So very pleased with that. Mike, one other thing that you really brought up, you were touching on there, about writing screenplays and the value is in the effort there. That's really central for me, this idea of perfection versus excellence. And I think excellence is something that's inside us that we bring to it. Am I giving my best? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I fulfilling that my part of the bargain? The perfection piece is kind of that external that we don't really have control over. So, as you were saying, some of those outcomes of, well, is it going to get picked up by somebody in Hollywood? Is it going to be made into a movie? It's kind of out of my control. So the perfection piece of that is not something I think we should be striving for, less about the outcome and really about more the effort that I'm putting into it and what am I learning as a result and how am I adapting and making adjustments to what I'm doing so that I'm bringing my best and then I can sleep well at night saying, well, I did everything I could and it either was meant to be or it wasn't meant to be.
So we're gonna wrap it up with this. We're gonna play a little game. So it's something short and simple. So you ready?
Ready.
Favorite late night snack.
I'm sorry, it cut out there. Say that again. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay. What's your favorite dish?
Uh, Boy, I'm a vegetarian, so I love stir fry with tofu. I know tofu gets a bad rap, but I do love tofu in a lot of different ways. Veggie burger's not bad either.
Name me your top five best baseball movies that you've ever seen.
So Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, um, and a League of Their Own. I enjoyed Moneyball. That's four, I think.
Or yeah.
And I'm going to kick myself later for missing out, but I'm not as much of a major league fan. Boy, that fifth one, afraid to leave anybody out. I'll say The Natural. I really enjoyed Robert Redford in that flick.
Nice, nice, good options. Um, Best World Series you've seen.
I think it was 1991 or 92 when Joe Carter hit uh, the walk-off home run for the Blue Jays. That was
Name
definitely up there.
that's
Uh,
93, yeah.
Was it 93? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Yeah. And so that was pretty darn exciting. And I got to say, the Red Sox winning it finally after the 86 years of curse or whatever, how many ever years that was. That was pretty special, especially as the way they came back down 3-0, and then came back and won the American League Championship, beating the Yankees, and then going on and winning the World Series. One of those two.
Name me three baseball players, dead or alive, that you would like to sit down and have a conversation with, or that you would like to write a movie about.
Good question.
So you can answer both of those if you want.
Okay. Okay. So I would love to sit down with pitchers because I'm a pitcher, and so I love the pitcher mentality. Greg Maddux is one I'd love to sit down and just mostly let him do all the talking. Roger Clemens is another one that I would love to, and probably Max Scherzer. So those are guys that I would just love to listen to. Probably Zach Greinke is another one. I really like Zach Greinke. I want to say, he's got some anxiety issues, kind of some mental health issues that he has really worked hard to overcome, and I really appreciate all that he brings to the game. And so I'd love to sit down and talk to him. In terms of making a movie, Satchel Paige is probably top of my list. I think there needs to be a movie about Satchel Paige. So you've actually kind of got me thinking about that. Of what sort of angle could we work on that? Um, I think so. Maybe this is a Negro Leagues movie of some sort, but I also think Josh Gibson. I think he's got a really interesting story of probably the best catcher that ever lived, maybe the best hitter that ever lived, best power hitter that ever lived. And, he died tragically, I think at age 37 or 39. And so never got the chance, to play in the major leagues. Been good movies made about Jackie Robinson, and Lou Gehrig. But I think some of the really good baseball stories don't necessarily have to involve people we've heard of before. You think of Bull Durham. Well, it's fictional, but it was based on Ron Shelton's experience in the minor leagues. So and actually as a result of writing the screenplay and being connected on LinkedIn, I've had people ping me with different stories and different ideas and different things that they're working on that I think are really interesting. And I think that's maybe the one thing that I would really like to see is a resurgence of baseball movies. The 1980s, late 80s and 90s, there were a bunch of them out there, and there's some really good ones, some what we consider classics. We haven't had any in a while. We haven't had any real good ones that have been really well marketed. And so I think there's a tremendous opportunity. And that's one of the things I'm hoping to take advantage of with my film as we get into production and distribution, really tapping into the baseball community because I think baseball fans are really hungering for a really good baseball movie. And I believe mine not only fills their need, but I think there are some really good messages that transcend baseball that everybody can kind of latch on to and identify with.
Last but not least, if you were the manager, who you want as your number one ace on your team in their prime, Randy Johnson or Clint Kershaw?
I got to go with the big unit. Uh, Randy Johnson was just at 6'10", just so imposing, and when he was on, it just unhittable, and scary to bat against. I keep thinking of John Kruk in the All-Star game, putting his helmet on back. Yeah, Randy Johnson. Not taking anything away from Kershaw, though. He's impressive and still impressive. Love to see him back and playing again. He's good for the game.
Well, Dan, it's been a great honor talking to you. This was a fantastic conversation. Talk about film, baseball, writing. Fantastic, fantastic conversation. I enjoyed it a lot.
I
Thank you
did.
so much for joining the Respect and Praise show. I respect and praise everything that you're doing for all these years. And I'm so looking forward to watching the movie sometime in the future. Um, like I said, I have all the confidence in the world that you guys will get this movie made. Have that positive mindset and never be afraid. You and your team, never be afraid having to go the independent route if it doesn't go well with any film distributor out there. But I definitely want to see this movie because I'm a sucker for sports films. Sports
Yeah.
films, shows and documentaries, anything with sports. I'm a sucker for that. So, and especially baseball, which is my number one favorite sport out of all sports that I follow. I'm definitely looking forward to watching it. And I'm glad that you guys were able to write this and win awards. So happy for you and the team. And like I said, looking forward to watching the movie.
Well, thanks for having me. Great conversation. Really enjoyed it. Good thought-provoking questions. Thanks.
No doubt, no doubt. And like I said, best of luck to you and the team. And, I'm looking forward to the future.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.